What's up, Swimming World, and welcome to Split Time. I'm your host, Garrett McCaffrey. With the Commonwealth Games just days away, it seems like something's missing. Excitement. Maybe it's an issue with the facilities or the fact that only a handful of countries are competing, but during a time of year when we don't usually get to see any fast swimming, shouldn't we be a little more excited for a championship meet? To discuss all of the issues surrounding the Games in Delhi, we've brought in Swimming World senior writer John Lohn, who joins us now from the East Coast. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Garrett. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. So, you just released a book this week called The Historical Dictionary of Competitive Swimming. And I guess the great way to start off this show is how many chapters of that book are dedicated to these Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, there is an entry for the Commonwealth Games. It does not include what has popped up lately, which is just all these crazy stories we're hearing about the lack of preparation and the security issues that are showing up. It definitely sounds like this is just not smooth. Let's put it that way, and the athletes deserve better.
And as we said earlier, days away from the start of the competition, and only one athlete is pulled out. It's a diver from Great Britain. But let's talk just some about these issues. Facilities are falling apart. They had a bridge collapse. They had the ceiling of the weightlifting venue falling over. And now the recent one in the swimming pool is that the water is too cold. So how do you think this affects the athletes as we move closer and closer to the start of these games?
Well, I think some athletes will handle it better than others. We'll have some individuals who are just able to block everything out and focus entirely on the 50 meters that lies ahead of them on the starting blocks. Others, maybe they're not as good as focusing. Maybe they don't have that ability to just put the attention only on racing. But the bottom line is this should not happen. This is a major international competition, and it's clear that there are problems over there. And I mean, how can you have the prep time and to allow this to happen? It's embarrassing for those designing the Commonwealth Games. I mean, I'm sure we'll never see them go back to Delhi.
Yeah, and it kind of takes away, we've talked about this a lot when we were at Pan Pacs. There's not one single meet this year, but it almost calls for more action towards one unified single world championship every year of some sort, whether that's the Olympics or the World Championships, because it's tough to put on all these championship events apparently, throughout the rest of the year. Do you think that this leads more towards our idea of maybe one unified championship, or how do you think this plays in the future of the Commonwealth Games?
In terms of the Commonwealth Games, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. These have been around for so long that I think you'll see them just be a little bit more careful in terms of picking a host city and country. You can't risk having something in a place where you can't even get a water temp right. You can't even get athlete quarters right. So I think they'll just be a little more picky, and they should be, because the athletes deserve as best as they possibly can. They're the ones who are the stars of the show. They'll just be a little more measured in their ability to pick the host city.
Yeah, and maybe 4 years from now, when presented with the same option of tapering for Commonwealth Games or one of the meets earlier in the season, countries like Canada, Australia, and Great Britain might opt for the earlier meet. But nevertheless, there's still some great races lined up for these games. We get to see not arguably the top 400 IMer. She is the top 400 IMer in the world already, and apparently Hannah Miley of Great Britain hasn't even tapered yet. She put up that 4:33 at European Championships and said that she was fully resting for this meet. I mean, how low can Hannah Miley go in that 400 IM?
And we always hear those stories of she was tapered, she wasn't, she was partially rested. If indeed she was not rested whatsoever when she went that 4:33, maybe we can see her push the 4:30 barrier. She's got additional training in since that time of that swim. It would be one heck of a performance, that's for sure, because the only time we've ever seen sub 4:30, what I think was during the Tech era. But this girl definitely has a bright future. We're going to see a real nice showdown, I think, with her in the 200 IM with Emily Seebohm. And I'm in the camp of Seebohm being having the ability to be the best swimmer in the world here in the years to come.
Yeah, we got to see her at Pan Pacs, and she was very impressive, both in those IMs and the backstrokes. So it'll be very interesting to see, like you said, who was tapered or even who can double taper, because a lot of the people at Pan Pacs talked about that as their focus meet. But, you know, sometimes we see people focus on Olympic trials and then go even faster at Olympics. And so it's going to be interesting. What are some of the other lineups that you're looking forward to? Let's start on the guys' side. What are some of the showdowns that you're looking forward to seeing next week?
Well, one of the individuals I really want to see is where Brent Hayden is. He had a tremendous Pan-Pacific Championships. He was sharp in the sprint freestyle events. And could he go 47 and change for the 100 freestyle? I think that's doable. That certainly is something that interests me. Liam Tancock is a guy who, and before we went on the air, you spoke of, now because of how deep the 100 backstroke is internationally, where is he going to be? He needs to throw down a time to put himself on the same level as Camille Lecour of what he did, going 52 low. Andrew Lauderstein from Australia, 100 butterfly. He has a lot to prove here because he had a subpar Pan-Pacific Championships, and this is a guy that I expected to really be among the top 200 or 300 flyers in the world. And for him to regain that, okay, here's your opportunity.
Yeah. You mentioned Brent Hayden, and if anything, he might have tapered for Pan Pacs, but he's got to be swimming confident right now after the tremendous Pan Pacs that he had. And he's going to have a race. Eamon Sullivan, after his first championship meet since the Olympics, has got a little bit more experience under his belt. He's healthy, and so maybe he had a couple months to go back, retune some things, and he could be firing. That should be a good showdown in both the 50 and the 100. And like you talked about, Liam Tancock, he's the only guy so far this year, other than Camille Lecour, under that 53-second mark. So it'll be interesting to see how his meet goes and shapes up. And then, yeah, I think the butterfly event would also be a terrific lineup. And yeah, I think that a lot of the good lineups are also on the ladies' side, and it starts with Hannah Miley and Emily Seebohm. But there's a pretty good breaststroke match that should be coming in that 200 breast as well.
I was very impressed with what Liesl Jones did at Pan Pacific Championships. Now, Rebecca Stoney obviously stole the show there, and rightfully so. But overlooked were some really solid swims from Liesl Jones, and now she gets a chance to go battle it out with Mae Pierce over the 100 and 200. They should have their eyes, targeting a sub 105 100, especially Jones, and then the 200's the one where Pierce, that's her better event. How low can they go there? Can they go a 220 point? That'll be interesting.
Yeah, and they were both 223 at Pan Pacs, and Mae Pierce was coming off 6 to 7 weeks of training because of illness and injuries. She just had a really rough 2010 season, so she's got a little bit more confidence. She didn't taper at all for Pan Pacs, so you can see big things coming from her when she was already 223 in that 200 breaststroke. What other kind of lineups are you looking for? What kind of things can we expect to see from some of these countries? And do you think that everybody puts some significance on this event when it comes to the countries that participate?
It seems, I know Australia, the way they look at it, that there's always a heavy emphasis on this competition. But I think what you mentioned earlier, as we were chatting at the beginning of this segment, there's a kind of a mix this year of who tapered for what, who rested for Pan Pacs, who rested for Commonwealth Games. So I don't feel like there has been as much emphasis this year in Commonwealth as maybe we've heard about sometimes in the past. There was a time when Ian Thorpe, thought this was, this was his major meet for one of the summers or one of the seasons, and put so much emphasis into that. And I'm not getting that feeling this time around.
Yeah, Ian Thorpe, as a 15-year-old, came in here and took away 5 gold medals. There's another 15-year-old that'll be on the Australian team, this side on the ladies' side, Lonny Koukla, who just turned 15 this week, actually. We got to see her at Pan Pacs, and she's a pretty impressive young up-and-coming sprint freestyler and butterflyer.
Yeah, and I believe after Pan Pacs, she went to Junior Pan Pacs as well, so she's had a stacked schedule in terms of international competition. Kind of see if she can hang on and compete mentally at a third big meet, if you want to count Junior Pan Pacs as a big meet. And the way she raced there, I think she treated it that way. But tons of upside, tons of potential for Koukla.
Yeah. It's a big week for all the countries participating, and like I talked about at the beginning of the show, it's a big week for you as well, releasing your first book about swimming, The Historical Dictionary of Competitive Swimming. Tell us a little bit more about the book.
Yes, Scarecrow Press contacted me about 20 months ago with the idea that it's a company that puts together a lot of reference material, and they wanted to start a sports series. So they gave me the opportunity to put together swimming. Right now, basketball and golf are almost done. So swimming is the only entry right now for the Historical Dictionary of Sports. It's been really exciting. It's about 360 pages, capsules of the best athletes that have ever competed, trends in the sport, venues, pretty much everything. It has a lot of appendix in the back that go over Olympic and world champions. It was a really great experience also to write, because it helped me fill some gaps in my knowledge from back in early 1900s, the first Olympics. But yeah, real excited to finally have it come to fruition.
Well, congratulations. We're all looking forward to it here in the swimming community. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Garrett.
All right, so that's John Lohn joining us from the East Coast. We really appreciate his time. And again, check out that book, Historical Dictionary of Competitive Swimming, and make sure to check out the Commonwealth Games starting this coming Monday, October 3rd. Be looking for results and all the good things to come. It's championship meet in the middle of the fall here in the United States, so we got to be excited about seeing some fast swimming. You guys have any opinions on who to look for and other matchups that we might have missed? Make sure you leave it in the comments section right below this video. But for this week, I'm Garrett McCaffrey, and that was your Split Time.